Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Megan. I make a lot of different content here on YouTube. I've been on this platform, never really consistent, but for a really long time, I think since like 2014. But I wanted to start making videos that were more relevant to my life now. So yeah, you can expect on this channel just life-related things, very similar to like how my blog is. I've had some recent videos, but I feel like now if you're gonna start seeing this, I'm gonna be way more consistent. Yeah, I just wanted to make this video. Obviously, you can see by the title, big life changes are ahead. I am quitting my job, which sounds really bad, but I've just resigned because I found something different that aligns more with like what I wanna do in the future. I feel like I've been on both ends of things, like where you're quitting a job and going to be self-employed or opening a business, but now also quitting a job and moving to another role. So I wanted to go over like what you should do before you do that, like how you should prepare, and then also like what that next chapter looks like big things that I would say that are very similar regardless if you are going somewhere else or if you are opening your own business. It looks kind of weird where I'm sitting. I thought I would get into kind of what this video is about. I'm sitting like at my back door, our kitchen and like our living room space. And then I recently moved my desk down here just as like a change of scenery. And because this new role, I'll be in the office a little bit more. I didn't want to just be in the cave upstairs where I've spent all my time. I wanted to spend more time with my dog in the day. So we moved my desk down here, but that's not a part of this video. But if you're new here, you're probably like, what the hell? I usually film in the room like upstairs in our new house. So change of pace, change of scenery. Anyways, let's just get into like you're quitting your job. Like, what does that look like? What are your first steps? I would say the biggest thing that you can do is give as much time as possible. I think more than a 2-week notice is really great. And before even that, like how do you come to the conclusion it's time to leave? If the job is no longer serving you, you're not seeing growth, it doesn't align with what you want to do in the future, things aren't going well, asking yourself those questions like what do you want to do in the future? Where do you want to see yourself? Those are the things that I asked myself and realized that what I was doing is not going to align where I want to be. Once you've made that decision, it's all about planning your exit. So as you plan your exit strategy, I would say, again, what does that look like? Putting in a longer notice, how much needs to be done in order for them to transition you out. I put a lot of thought into this. You know, are they gonna be able to fill like what you do and they need like 2 or 3 people, which for what I did was so specific to like what I was interested in that the position like ended up getting built around me that now they're gonna need like 3 separate people to fulfill that. So the first thing I did was making templates. The next thing that I'm currently working on is kind of what did my job description become, and not just like a here's the job description 2-pager, but really nitty-gritty in the day of things. Here's content, here's what I do, here's the software I use, here's the sizing for these certain things, because I think that's really important to have, and because they didn't have content before me, they've never really had those guidelines in place. After you make templates and you make a list of what you do, I think meeting with supervisors and meeting with your manager and seeing what other holes are going to be like needed to be filled, like what's the plan, especially like this time of year. It's hard, like the Great Resignation is happening right now, it's inevitable. There's so many great opportunities out there, but I think, you know, what is their plan for the future? They were planning on having you, so like what does the content look like is really important to map those things out. Luckily, I have things now scheduled into April of next year. I think the better you can leave them and the more prepared you can leave them, the better reference you'll have in the future for work, because you just never know. Especially like at a young age, like putting in your resignation just because I'm leaving that industry now doesn't mean I'll never cross paths with anyone again. I probably will cross paths with a lot of people that I worked with, and it's just like best business practices. So yeah, that's the main thing, is like preparing for your exit, putting all those things in place. Like and just making sure, like, you know, in case they never have to contact you again, because hopefully they don't have to. Hopefully you leave everything so organized that they're like, well, this is great, now we know where to go. That's kind of like, I think, the best method. I'm not saying I've done that every time. I probably left my first job in the worst way possible. I just was so burnt out and overloaded, and so much was put on me that I put an immediate termination notice. Not great, not my strongest moment, but I was also like 18, 19, so lesson learned not to do that. So yeah, I would say your next sort of thing, whether you are going to be going into a new industry and a new job, or you're going to be opening your own business and leaving a sort of role, it's important to notify all of your contacts, and whether that's like a LinkedIn post and just like kind of sharing where you're going next, because business referrals in general are great. And especially if you're building your own business, say you're like me, you're leaving and you go open an agency. People knew that I went to open an agency. They came to me for advice, consulting, all of that. So that was great, because that just like kickstarts your business. And at that point, once you put in your notice, it doesn't need to be secretive anymore for whatever you're pursuing next. So if you're going to a new industry, like I'm going back into the industry I was in before, I have sent some messages, I've notified some of my contacts and been like, hey, coming back to the industry, super excited. I'm probably gonna see you. There's like different associations you can join basically. And I think it's such a small community in Colorado that I'm going to run into people that I haven't before, so it would be great to give them a heads up so that they know I'm coming in. And you just never know, that could set you up for success when you're going to that job. But yeah, regardless, that's my number one thing, like after you're leaving, like what's next, like how to transition in. I would say it's really important to notify your contacts and share where you're going and what you're doing, because you'll be able to jumpstart a lot quicker. Different sorts of things, but obviously if you're going to a new role, you've already established pay, kind of budgeting out with that new pay structure. Maybe you've gone from bi-weekly to twice a month on 15th and 31st, or maybe you're going to weekly pay. I think you need to structure that out. And for freelancing or opening your own business, you kind of want to have, obviously you should save more before you enter that at your own discretion. I'm not going to say how much to save. I should have saved more before doing that, but kind of mapping out what is in your pipeline and when you're going to be getting paid and what you can expect, and building that client roster out if you're going to be doing the freelance thing. If you're opening your own business, obviously, like how quickly can you get rid of inventory, like what is the markup, because you're going to establish like how much you're making and what you're taking. And that rhymed. I think that's really important to map that out before you just jump into things, because you want to know like when you're going to get paid, how you're going to get paid. And obviously if you're not just moving to a new job, obviously I've got to roll over my 401k for all of that, and there's a lot of, you know, health insurance and everything else. The added layer when you leave a company and you're going to have to pay yourself is, how do I set up payroll? How do I make sure I'm taxing myself enough? How do I not take so much income that I'm gonna owe so much? And what is a business expense? Because technically when you own a business, a lot of things can become business expense. You can partially write off your internet, you can partially write off mileage, and how you're gonna track those things. I've always used QuickBooks, but it sounds like HoneyBook is really great for that sort of client management space. I have never used it, but I've heard good things about it. I just have always invoiced through QuickBooks. I started with a self-employed, and then you eventually can turn it into a business sort of thing. I've used Gusto before. That's a pretty common, easy platform to use for payroll and everything else. You need to figure out who's gonna do your accounting and who's gonna do your taxes, and it's way easier to go the working for someone route. But if you are exiting, you should have those sorts of things in mind. Regardless, you need to know like, how am I getting paid and how is that changing from where I'm going, and what does my budget look like? The next thing would be, what are some other expenses you may have not thought of as you transition, whether it's to a new role or you're transitioning to working from home or working for yourself or doing freelance or whatever that self-employed sort of thing or business owner looks like. For me, moving to this new job, I'll be in the office more. Our dress coming from tech is very casual. You can wear jeans and all of that. I would say like my new dress code would be a step up. I am selling some clothes, some athletic wear, because I'm gonna be in the office more, kind of figuring out the industry standard of where I'm going. But also if you're working for yourself, like what does that look like? Are you a business owner? Are you know, gonna be just at home? You don't need all of those things. Can you sell those like professional clothes that you have and everything else? Really like getting in the feels of like what you need to buy. I'm buying some things for my car to keep backups, like chargers, and in case I forget something, or snacks, because my commute is about to double, which is insane. But yeah, I think it's really important to factor all of those things in before you exit. And then the last thing I would say that's the most important when you quit your job is to keep in touch with those at that company, whether you are starting your own business or going somewhere else. And if you're going somewhere else in the same industry, of course, keeping in touch, but also just like sending like a hope you're doing well, and checking in, and like staying connected on LinkedIn. That sounds so silly, but you just never know when your connections later down the line will be valuable to you, or you might be valuable to them. So I've always said keep in contact. But yeah, I think that's kind of the gist of things. And if you want me to do a more in-depth video on like what it was like going from a 9-to-5 to business owner freelancer, let me know. Or if you want me to do more content on moving jobs and what that looks like, and my new commute and all of that, I'm for sure gonna share that. But if there's any specifics you guys want to see, let me know. And I just thought this would be a fun, it's not a fun thing, it's like really awkward to like put in a resignation and be like, things aren't going to plan. But I think once you have that conversation, it gets a lot easier, I think. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I will see you all in the next video. Bye.